side.
Mama, how can I be a champion, Mama?
Well, you've got to be like a geisha ball. Staying strong and going so far.
Be strong and last long.
Like geisha.
Mbele iko sawa nimecheck. Na leo nadai moja ya power that I will never forget. Drop me your pin and a location. Staki stories za simu, mistaki my conversations. Staki utanipata kwenye gate kama ni appointment. You know that I won't be late. No, hii story najua well na relate. So katambe mtu mbili sote tu participate. Take a selfie.
Leo nimekam ku get down. Leo nimekam ku get busy. You've been on my case for a while, but baby I am not that easy. I'm feeling some type of way. Nishike kama siku za mwizi, tupige kama gym tuko tizi, nipike kama toke mandizi. Yeah. Today is your lucky day. What you gonna do now that you have me all to yourself? So come and get this before we get down to business. Take a selfie. Baby now my lover. Do a selfie. Number one lover. Take a selfie. Baby now my lover. Do a selfie. Number one lover.
Do you have what it takes to become the next generation of great innovators, ICT solutions providers, business gurus, corporate icons, and renowned engineers? Enroll now for our September 2019 intakes in postgraduate, degree, and diploma programs in the following schools: School of Business and Economics, School of Arts and Social Sciences, School of Information Sciences, School of Education, School of Agriculture and Natural Resources, School of Biological and Physical Sciences, School of Tourism, Hospitality and Events Management, School of Aerospace Science, School of Public Health, School of Medicine. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
This is NTV.
Hello there, and thanks very much for joining us on this Sunday night. These are the top stories on NTV.
Tonight, manhunt on for more suspects in Dutch tycoon's murder. Peter Karanja decries arrest and detention.
It is purely a victim of circumstances.
Plus,
vijana karibu 20 wakanizingira. Sasa nikaona ni vijana, hawa ni vijana wadogo sana.
One person fighting for his life after gang unleashes terror in Nyali. And working in flower farms is not a rosy affair. Female workers narrate their experiences. Also tonight, Jeffrey Kamworor reigns supreme in Copenhagen. Decorated long-distance runner shatters the half-marathon world record.
NTV Weekend Edition with Smriti Vidyarthi.
It's good to be back after a short break, and good to have you with us tonight. David Agondoa is our sign language interpreter. And we start on a winning note, where Kenya once again reminded the world that it is the home of athletics greatness. The stage today was in Copenhagen, where Jeffrey Kamworor broke the half-marathon world record in a time of 58 minutes and 1 second to win the race. Kamworor lowered the previous record of 58 minutes and 18 seconds set by compatriot Abraham Kiptum in Valencia last year. Well, Copenhagen is the same course where Kamworor won his first World Half Marathon title in 2014 before staging successful title defenses in Cardiff 2 years later and then in Valencia in 2018.
Of the global education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day,
gang raided Maweni, VOK and Kongowea in Nyali constituency in Mombasa. Witnesses say the gang of more than 10 boys unleashed terror on them for several hours. NTV's Kevin Mutai reports.
One of the survivors of Saturday night's ruthless attack in Nyali is fighting for his life at the Coast General Hospital in Mombasa. The victim was operated on after sustaining serious panga cuts. 4 other victims were treated and discharged, while 2 others are still admitted at the facility. According to the victims, the gang of more than 5 boys unleashed a campaign of terror on them from midnight Saturday until Sunday morning.
Vijana karibu 20 wakanizingira. Sasa nikaona ni vijana, hawa ni vijana wadogo sana. Lakini vile walinizingira wakasema kaa chini. Mimi nikasema siwezi kaa chini, kikaa chini wao watanimaliza. Sababu walikuwa wametoa mapanga watu wawili. Sasa mmoja aliporusha panga akanikata, yule mwingine nikampiga, alipoanguka mimi nikapata nafasi nikakimbia. Wale wengine walikuwa hawana mapanga.
Lakini nikangangana nikashika panga huko juu. Wakanipokonya hiyo panga wakanikata mikono mpaka na kichwa.
Some of the attackers had machetes and other crude weapons. They were planning to steal mobile phones and other valuables.
Kwa hivyo inaonekana bado ni genge lile, kwa sababu kama lilianza kushambulia Msumuroni, likakuja Kongowea, likakuja Leisure, likakuja Kambi Kikuyu, likakuja Maweni. Hilo ni gengi lile ambalo limejiamini.
Nilikuwa na simu nyingine kabambe, ndio akachukua simu akaniambia nisimame. Ndio sasa aingie kwa mfuko aone kama kuna pesa ngapi. Mimi siwezi kusimama. Lakini ilikuwa ni yao, ilikuwa ni wapate pesa.
Kati ya hawa vijana 5 tumeshika 3. Sasa wanahojiwa na officers ya DCI. One of them is the main suspect ambaye tukitafuta for the last 1 week.
Authorities also say that suspect who surrender will be pardoned if they give crucial information that could help police decisively deal with criminal gangs that have troubled the coast region.
With the installation of a new police post in Kongowea Market and deployment of adequate security apparatus in the region, police now believe that the efforts in place will help in combating criminal elements that have been terrorizing residents in the region. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
And also tonight, there are reports of yet another attack in Marsabit County. 1 person was shot dead and another injured after 4 gunmen attacked quarry workers. Authorities say the man, identified as Denge Happy Dacha, was shot and killed by armed men said to be from the Gabra community. Police are hunting the attackers who escaped on foot. And residents now live in fear after that attack that happened just a day after a security team from the region held a peace meeting at the Marsabit Lodge. Elsewhere, detectives investigating how and why Dutch businessman Tob Cohen was killed are on the hunt for 4 more persons of interest in connection with the murder. The 4 are said to have been in contact with his estranged wife, that's Sarah Wairimu, and her alleged lover, Peter Karanja, on the night that he was strangled to death. Post-mortem due on Monday, that's tomorrow, will determine conclusively the cause of Cohen's death after his body was retrieved from a septic tank on Friday. Here's NTV's Olive Burrows with more.
Power, sex and money have long been understood to be the primal motives for murder, and the gruesome murder of Dutch businessman Tob Cohen is proving no exception, bearing all the hallmarks of a crime thriller. Police investigations so far point to a love affair turned sour then lethal, Cohen's wife having been the first to be taken into custody following his disappearance. Her arrest was followed by that of Peter Karanja, with whom she's been romantically linked. Karanja, who provided taxi services in Nakuru in the late 90s, early 2000s, was himself married to the Gilgil Member of Parliament, Martha Wangari. Their relationship, like that of the Cohens, ending in acrimony. As Wairimu and Karanja prepare to appear before the courts on Monday, the police are searching for 4 more persons of interest with whom the two were in contact on the night of the suspected murder. Wairimu, who was to undergo a mental assessment on the orders of the court, is expected to plead to a murder charge, while it's expected that the police will apply for more time to investigate Karanja. Already, his advocates have accused the police of manhandling the client and demanded his expedited release.
And we wish also to state that our client is a political strategist, is well connected politically, and is a well-to-do person. Contrary to the media reports that have been going around that he was an opportunistic person.
It has also emerged that Cohen had twice written to the Director of Public Prosecutions, expressing fear for his well-being and accusing his wife of conspiring with the Westland Sub-County Police to defraud him of his property. Wairimu has in turn, through her lawyer Philip Murgo, accused the police of setting her up for Cohen's murder, pointing to the circumstances under which his remains were discovered. A post-mortem, due to be conducted on Monday, should conclusively determine the cause of Cohen's death, who is suspected to have been strangled to death. Olive Burrows, NTV.
All right, certainly a story that we will be following for you tomorrow. Elsewhere, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is investigating how and why millions of shillings were reportedly wired into Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko's private bank accounts from as far back as 2017. The anti-graft body is peering into what it says is a web of deceit that involves 7 companies that have been making payments to him even before he was elected governor. NTV's Seth Olale reports that the EACC has also written to the banks involved to provide specific statements of these transactions.
Detectives are analyzing bank statements of 7 companies to establish allegations of curious payments made to Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko's personal accounts and what these payments were for. The 7 companies being investigated are ROG Securities, Yairo Enterprises, Hardy Limited, Todi Civil Engineering, Amaco Insurance Limited, Arbab Auto Limited, and High Energy Petroleum Limited. At the center of the probe are companies associated with businessmen Otieno Ombok alias Jamal and Anthony Mwaura, who are said to have wired money into Sonko's accounts directly through their companies. Ombok owns Arbab and ROG Securities, while Mwaura is directly associated with Hardy Limited and Todi Civil Engineering. Detectives have established that none of the companies owned by Ombok is contracted by the Nairobi County government. However, some companies contracted by the county have also been doing business on the side with Ombok's companies. Some of Ombok's companies are said to have made deposits to a number of the governor's accounts. For instance, ROG Securities made a deposit of 3 million shillings to Mike Sonko's DTB account. During interrogation, Ombok told investigators that the payment was part of a piece of land in Mavoko, valued at 34 million shillings that he had bought from the governor. Bank statements in our possession also show that December 14th last year, Todi Limited, which is owned by Anthony Mwaura, liquidated 80 million shillings from its fixed deposit account. 3 days later, Todi Limited transferred 3 million shillings from the proceeds of the monies from the fixed deposit account to Sonko's Equity Bank account. Anthony Mwaura told investigators that the deposits were for a piece of land in Kwale belonging to the governor and that one of his companies had acquired for a project. EACC has already written to various banks involved asking for statements of specific transactions. Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, who has since taken a low profile after appearing at the EACC, has repeatedly blamed cartels for his woes at the helm of City Hall. Seth Olale, NTV, Nairobi.
And as police look into the governor's accounts, it turns out that residents of Nairobi County may not be getting the services that they are entitled to. An audit of the county shows that Nairobi has been spending less on development than what the law requires. The report by the Office of the Auditor General shows that contrary to the recommendation that counties spend 30% of their budget on development, the capital only spent 6%, with most funds going back to the National Treasury. Here's NTV's Silas Apollo.
New documents by the Office of the Auditor General now show that the county government of Nairobi may be doing too little to improve the delivery of services to residents. The report for the year ending June 2018 shows that the county not only failed to pump money to projects and services, but also broke the law. Governor Mike Sonko is said to have allocated only 1.4 billion shillings to development in the county out of the 23.9 billion shillings that was allocated, representing only 6%. This is in direct contravention of Section 2A of the Public Finance Management Act, which provides that at least 30% of expenditure by both county and national governments be designated for development spending. The report says that this under-expenditure means that residents may not be enjoying the services they are entitled to, as most funds not absorbed go back to the National Treasury. Sonko, who has been vocal about his track record in the city, has been facing criticism from critics and opponents who have accused him of doing little to improve the status of the city county.
I'm a philanthropist, Mr. Chair, and my work is known. I have used my resources because Nairobi is in my heart. For the billboards we have put along the Mombasa Road, we have not spent even a coin from the taxpayers.
Fingers have also been pointed at the soaring garbage and broken sewers in the city and estates around Nairobi, poor roads, among other services. But the governor has been on the defense, insisting that he was on track, an argument that has been supported by governors before who have accused the Treasury of sending money to counties late. Sonko is also accused of withdrawing some 14 million shillings for intelligence gathering, as well as making payments outside the IFMI system totaling 11 million shillings. Other accusations are the withdrawal of another 6 billion shillings out of the county revenue accounts at the cooperative bank without any explanation as to why the funds were withdrawn and for what purpose. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Well, still on counties, and they may have to still wait longer to receive money from the national government following a new battle between the National Assembly and the Senate over when the Division of Revenue Bill should take effect. Now, the Senate holds that it should be as soon as the President signs it into law, while the National Assembly says the beginning of the financial year on the 1st of July should be the commencement date.
Don't have files.
There was a glimmer of hope for counties when the mediation committee last Wednesday agreed on what should be disbursed to counties in the 2019-2020 financial year, but their spirits may just be dampened. No sooner had the ink dried on the agreement than a new battle was renewed. The National Assembly and the Senate are at it again over when the bill should take effect after the President assents to it. National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee Chairman Kimani Ichung'wah, who doubled as the chairperson of the 18-member mediation committee, says the bill he presented on the floor of the National Assembly on Wednesday afternoon is the same one agreed upon at the mediation committee.
If they did not agree to the amendment of clause 1 on the date, they were at liberty and they were seated in the meeting to raise an objection, and we subject that clause to further discussion and agreement.
Last Wednesday evening, Senate's Finance and Budget Committee Chairperson Mohamed Mahamoud, in a press conference, accused the National Assembly of going behind the senators' back and introducing a new Clause 1 with July 1st as the commencement date, which was not agreed in their meeting earlier in the day.
The effective date was very casually introduced by the chair, a vice chair, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. Out of the blue, not a matter of the agenda.
So when he says it's casual, what is casual in a meeting? He wanted me to do what? Stand on the table and...
Mahmoud went ahead to present two versions of the Hansard, one by the National Assembly and another from the Senate, accusing the National Assembly of altering the document. With the new battlefront opened, counties are yet again at the center of it, as there is a chance they could stay longer without cash.
They have no choice but either to recommit the bill and recommit that particular clause and have it in line with what was passed in the meeting, or if they're in disagreement, it would be a collapse of the second mediation.
Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka, who is already in Kitui for the Senate Mashinani, which will kick off tomorrow, has however exuded confidence in the matter being resolved this week, with counties receiving money as soon as possible. Kennedy Muredi, NTV.
Right, let's shift focus now to education matters, and all grade 3 pupils who are being assessed for the Kenya Early Years Assessment will proceed to grade 4. The assessment will be supervised by the Kenya National Examinations Council, but class teachers will administer the test throughout the term. The exams body will then receive a report from schools on how the pupils fared at the end of the term. And as NTV's education reporter Sharon Baranga reports, teachers have the whole term to administer the test.
Mother had always told me.
Togi Wamboi, a grade 3 pupil at Rockfields Junior School, is practicing her reading with the help of her mother Charity Wangai.
Fuya was working on his farm.
Togi is among the pioneer class of the competency-based curriculum in the country who will be assessed under the Kenya Early Years Assessment before they proceed to grade 4.
How can you stay safe yourself?
You must listen to your parents.
Togi's mom then asks her a few questions from the passage to test her understanding of what she just read. The ability of pupils to read words out loud is part of what will be assessed.
The assessment is all about feedback, but basically it's not going to determine they are graduating to grade 4.
All grade 3 pupils in the country took part in integrated learning activities where they had to make cleaning equipment. They then visited a number of markets where they cleaned, which is part of the competency-based curriculum.
We went sweeping, then we picked up rubbish and sort them, then we put them in the dustbin.
Tugi, she's really changed in the house. She's able to do a lot of work. She's ready to help. She's been sweeping, cleaning, making her bed, which was not happening before. But with the training with the CBC, we've seen a lot of changes.
The Ministry of Education says the assessment will take place throughout the term, meaning there is no end date. Unlike the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, there will be no supervisors or invigilators. Class teachers will administer the assessment. There will be no individual ranking, and the results will not be used to determine transition to grade 4, as all grade 3 pupils are expected to move to the next class.
Can you say circle? Circle! You can use it to write.
The Kenya National Examination Council will then compile a national report for the grade 3 learners to inform the country on whether learning is taking place as it should, if expected competencies among learners are being achieved, and where necessary interventions are required to improve learning.
They are rectangles. Can you say
Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Now, just a week after he stirred up trouble at the pulpit, Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro was back in church, but this time he apologized for the disruption that he caused at the Kitui Catholic parish last Sunday. Nyoro, who attended an Anglican church service a stone throw away from the parish, expressed his remorse for his actions. Heeding the call of the diocese leadership, Nyoro preferred an apology both on his behalf and that of the minor commander-led Kielekwe faction of Jubilee, with which he clashed. The diocese has since pumped the brakes on politicians presiding over its fundraising functions. A heavy police presence was witnessed at the church a week after the lawmen were overpowered by Nyoro's supporters when they attempted to take him into custody for disturbing the peace.
Zetu na nikiomba msamaha akina maina kamada wote na madugu wale wengine wote walikuja nao, na pia mimi nikiwa hapo kama kiongozi ningetaka niombe msamaha kwa kanisa ya Catholic, kwa kanisa ya yote ya Kenya, na ningeomba tukikuja kanisa kama siku ya leo na vile nimekuja siku ya leo nitajaribu kuonyesha na example.
To a tragic story now, and Jacqueline Chepngeno, a Class 6 pupil who took her own life last week after she was shamed by her teacher for soiling her school uniform with her menses, was laid to rest at her home village in Bureti. Her death reignited protests and a national conversation about period shaming and access to menstrual products, despite the government having set aside funds to distribute sanitary towels to schools.
Hallelujah.
At Ketisiet village in Bureti constituency, mourners have gathered to give Jacqueline Chepngeno a befitting send-off. Chepngeno's life was cut short last week after she took her own life. Her mother says the daughter narrated her embarrassing ordeal of how one of her female teachers shamed her for soiling her uniform due to menses. She left the school around 10 a.m. crying.
Mimi niliambiwa huyo mtoto alikuja na sandals moja. So mtoto mmoja ule alikuwa normal, anaweza enda na sandal moja mpaka nyumbani. Mimi nilisema kitu ule mwalimu angeweza kufanya, angechukua tu kama yeye ni mtoto na msaidie.
Lakini sasa kuna watu hapa wachache wanakuja kuthreaten media ati kuambia watu waandike statement. Wanaandika nini statement? Wakiandika statement mtoto wetu ataamka.
The body of the 14-year-old pupil who attended Kabiangek Primary School in Bomet County was found dangling from a tree at a tea farm after the mother sent her to fetch water to clean herself. Mourners demanded justice for the young girl.
Those funds which were meant for these children should come down to the grassroots.
We lost a soul. We are grieving today who would have made a difference and impact in our lives in times ahead. We want to say enough is enough.
The news of Chepngeno's death stoked the community's anger. The residents stormed the school demanding the arrest of the teacher in question. Women members of parliament stormed Jogoo House, which houses the Ministry of Education offices, seeking answers. They demanded to know what happened to the funds met to purchase sanitary towels for schoolgirls and the action the ministry intends to take on the accused teacher. The Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor George Magoha, promised to give a report Monday. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Well, that shaming is certainly something that really never should have happened, and an incident like this should never happen again. And of course, consequently, that life of Jacqueline should never have been taken. And we certainly hope that the government is listening and we find out where that money went to. May Jacqueline's soul rest in peace. All right, at this point, it's time for a breather on NTV Tonight, but coming up, well, working in flower farms is not a rosy affair. Female workers narrate their experiences next.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Nani wanalia hapo nyuma? Ni mtoto. Usikate, mpatie simu. Hello, Junior. Usikate.
Story bonus imerudi na madrama na mavideo. Ongea zaidi au ongeza mbado skolani yako. Ujipatie 200% story bonus plus 200 MB YouTube free kila siku. Usikate, pata story bonus.
nawe kila wakati.
To the outer framers, the turtleneckers, the fringe growers, you don't need to hide anymore. Try Dettol Even Tone. It cleans and helps to reduce the appearance of blemishes caused by oil, dirt and germs, giving your skin a healthy feel. Join the millions that have switched to Dettol Even Tone, now also in pomegranate fragrance, a healthier skin for an even better you. Brought to you by the Kenya Consortium of Medical and Health Professionals. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Now you can get your Uber ride with a phone call. Call 0800 722 000 to ride.
Do you want to enjoy the convenience of a credit card that fully adheres to Islamic principles of financing? Then Gulf African Bank's Awal Credit Card, the first Islamic credit card in East Africa, is the solution you're looking for. It is a card that will ultimately complement your lifestyle. The Gulf African Bank Awal Islamic Credit Card offers a viable option for all people ascribing to the Islamic mode of banking, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, to access interest-free credit. It also comes with great perks and privileges, including worldwide airport lounge access. You will be able to know the cost up front, which will empower your decision making. Call 071-107-5000, SMS AWAL to 21981, or visit your nearest branch to order yours today. Gulf African Bank, your partner through life's journey.
I've decided that I should just raise our child on my own. Samantha is my only daughter. I want a special wedding for her.
We have to move fast before Samantha's baby bump becomes obvious to the public.
It was Senator Del Mundo.
She's been transferred, but she's still being guarded by the cops.
You want to see him? Then come with me!
Sander.
I said let go of me!
Get it!
Do you have what it takes to become the next generation of great innovators, corporate icons, and renowned engineers? Enroll now for our September 2019 intakes, Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
Welcome back. It's no bed of roses for workers in the country's flower farms who continue to suffer abuses such as delayed salaries and poor working conditions. But it's even worse for women who at times have to make the painful choice between becoming mothers or losing their jobs. And apart from being denied maternity leave, there are no facilities within the farm for nursing mothers. NTV's Brenda Wanga reports on how their rights are wilting in bloom despite the existence of laws to protect them.
Agitated, they picket. For close to 6 months, they have been toiling in this expansive flower farm. But for their energies, they are yet to take home a single cent, and now their patience has run out.
Wengi wetu wamefukuzwa kwa nyumba, watoto saa hii hawaendi shule. Na hapa sio kwetu. Kwetu ni mbali. Hatuna fare ya kwenda, tumefukuzwa kwa nyumba, tunakaa nje.
Hatuna chakula, hatuna pesa ya kulipa manyumba. Tukikuja hapa kwa ofisi kulipa mshahara, tunaambiwa kwamba mshahara bado muongoje.
Tunaenda kutafuta kibarua ni ya shilingi 300. Haiwezi kalisha watoto, ikulipie nyumba na ifanye ile basic need ya kila mtu.
A good number of the employees here are from further up country, drawn here by a desperate need for a job, but those greener pastures are withering faster than they can adjust.
Tumegoma karibu mara 4. Tukaenda mpaka polisi, hata sisi wengine tulishikwa, tukawekwa ndani kwa sababu ya haki yetu.
While their immediate concern is how to put food on their table and how to get their kids to school, these flower farm workers are not immune to the challenges that their colleagues the country over are grappling with, particularly women. Aside from the documented cases of rampant sexual abuse, the Kenyan Human Rights Commission says a more fundamental one has been perpetuated on the thousands of women in the flower farms.
Inadequate maternity protection, and the law is not the problem, because the law provides that a woman who is expectant is entitled to 3 months maternity leave, and that is paid leave.
That is good on paper, but the women who break their backs in the rosy fields are now smelling the flowers when it comes to the observance of their maternity rights. For them, the choice sometimes is literally between keeping a job or having a family.
Engaging these women for a very long time as seasonals. So recently we have been on the ground in Meru, the Mount Kenya region, Naivasha and Thika, and we have encountered women who have worked for as long as 10 years and they remain as seasonals. What happens is that when such a woman is expectant and it's time to go on leave, they will not be paid because they are not considered to be on some stable contract.
Si rahisi akuwe confirmed kama permanent worker. Wanampea ma contract zikiisha, ndio zingine anarudi, kama kwetu anarudi ndio apewe confirmation.
While women account for at least 75% of the workforce in this industry, their working conditions have always been placed on the back burner, and the situation gets even more dire for the women who wish to become mothers. Trouble starts as soon as the women get pregnant. While a good number of the flower farms have company policies in place to ostensibly protect the women, the adherence to these policies is often more verbal than practical.
Sasa sheria zetu za union zinasema hivi, mama akiwa mjamzito anafaa apewe at least kazi light yenye anaweza fanya, ndio labda kama nimepewa mimi, kwa mfano mimi nimepewa kipimo kubwa, lakini yeye apewa labda kama ni kidogo na kulingana na venye yuko, kulingana ujauzito wake venye huko.
And the reality is a different story altogether.
Kama hakuna barua kutoka kwa daktari, utafanya kazi paka the last minute ukienda kujifungua. Juu wanasema kuzaa ni raha yako.
Ukiwa mjamzito hakuna ujulikani kama wewe unatapika wala unafanya nini, bora uendelee na kazi ya kampuni.
It isn't only the intensity of the labor that the women have to worry about in the farms. Producing the quality of cut flowers that land Kenya amongst the leading producers in the world means that the best practices have to be engaged, the use of prescribed chemicals, but this often poses a risk to pregnant mothers.
Mama wakati dawa imekuwa spread kwa hiyo nyumba, hata wekwa kando kwa sababu yeye ni mjamzito. Masaa wengine wataingia ako tu pale. Hiyo dawa inamharibikia upande wa harufu nini, lakini hakuna mwenye anamjali. Na kwa sababu mahitaji na majukumu ya nyumbani na mzidi, inabidi avumilie tu.
Jen, not her real name, says she has experienced this personally.
Wakati niliconceive, before nijue nimeconceive, in fact nilifaint kwa hiyo greenhouse. So okay, nilisaidiwa na wenzangu wakanitoa nje nikafanyiwa first aid.
This situation has exposed many women to high risk pregnancies that sometimes have ended fatally.
Eventually, women have lost pregnancies. This was actually confirmed by community health officers that we interacted with in Naivasha not more than 2 months ago. They told us they received so many cases. They have handled so many cases of miscarriages, and mostly from flower farm workers.
It doesn't get easier for those who dodge the labor-intensive chores of the fume-laden greenhouses and deliver their babies. Getting back to work, if one is lucky to find their jobs, comes with even more challenges.
Kuna siku utafanya kazi ionekane ni mzuri, huyu kazi yake ni mbaya, ukienda siku unajua huyu anapenda ma-sick-offs, huyu ni ma-absents. Sasa wanatumia hiyo njia kukutoa kwa kampuni.
And this challenge is notwithstanding, those who depend on the blooms to survive say the industry can be better if the laws are observed fully.
Tishoni yetu pia itutambue sisi wafanyikazi wa maua wakati wa mama wajawazito wasiwe wanafanya kwa area zenye zinakuwa na chemical.
Zile sheria zenye imepeana kwa private sectors hawazifuatilii kwa ukamilifu, wajue wafanyikazi ni yapi wanapitia.
The civil society now says the government must shine its spotlight on the working conditions of those employed in the flower farms and ensure that the benefits that the flowers bring to the country trickle down to those who break their backs nurturing them. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Well, those laws certainly do need to be observed. These women have every right, and of course all mothers have their rights too. Right, shifting focus now, and have you ever thought about what could happen if you lost your identity card? Well, in the worst case scenario, a criminal could use it to commit a crime. And that's the dilemma that a journalist finds himself in as he tries to free himself from claims that he's involved in a car theft syndicate.
Calvin Mukaya was going about his day as normal when he spotted his name on the dreaded DCI list of wanted suspects on Twitter for being part of a car theft syndicate. That, for Calvin, was a shocker.
My problem started on the 5th of September. That was on a Thursday. I went to the gym. As I was leaving, I realized that my bag was missing where I had placed it. So I called one of the attendants in the gym and told them I had placed my bag in locker 70, but I cannot trace it. So we looked around, and then finally we found it in locker 76. My wallet and my phone were the items that were missing. I went to Kasarani police station and reported that I had lost my identity card, all my cards, and also my phone. One of the HR managers contacted my father, who is my emergency contact at work, to ask him if I was okay, because they had seen stories online that a person with the same identity as mine had been arrested with the DCI in connection to a car theft syndicate.
From there, he went back to the Kasarani police station to establish who the suspected criminal arrested sharing his name really was.
When they saw the passport, the name on the passport, they realized it's the same name that was on the ID that they were given by the suspect, which they had actually retained from the suspect. It's still within the station.
But Calvin alleges that the investigating police officers have been taking him in circles and had failed to record his statement despite appearing at the station every day for the past 5 days. Calvin now wants to get his name removed from the crime he says he has nothing to do with. Our efforts to get more information from the Kasarani OCPD on the case also hit a snag. This could be the worst case scenario. Losing your documents could be one thing, but losing your freedom is another. A number of Kenyans have found themselves victims of identity theft and often run afoul of the law despite being victims themselves. Just 5 days ago, 4 members of a gang led police officers to a junkyard in Kariobangi South used for stripping stolen cars for onward sale as spare parts. They are said to have been operating within areas of Kasarani, Roysambu and Thika. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
All right, always be sure to keep your documents close to you. All right, we're taking another breather on NTV Weekend Edition. Here's what's coming up. Deputy President reaches out to the coast and extends a hand of help to divided Taita Taveta County. Details up ahead.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because her tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
for maximum cavity protection. And now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
Do you have what it takes to become the next generation of great innovators, ICT solutions providers, business gurus, corporate icons, and renowned engineers? Enroll now for our September 2019 intakes in postgraduate, degree, and diploma programs in the following schools: School of Business and Economics, School of Arts and Social Sciences, School of Information Sciences, School of Education, School of Agriculture and Natural Resources, School of Biological and Physical Sciences, School of Tourism, Hospitality and Events Management, School of Aerospace Science, School of Public Health, School of Medicine. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
I'm hungry.
Yes, with some extra fries. Delivery on the way.
So extra. Aren't you tired of hoping for
No!
So extra!
Has to be extra because extra data is always better with extra minutes. Dial *544# to subscribe and share live extra. Telkom, moving with you.
Wake up in the morning, time to get it. How do you re-energize?
You're gonna make it. Just take a sip.
How about a Yola?
Energy for this. Take a sip.
Available in 4 flavors, Yola is a cereal milk drink packed with vitamins and minerals. It is suitable for all ages and guaranteed to give you a burst of energy in every sip. Yola, power up your day.
Mama, how can I be a champion runner?
Well, you've got to be like a geisha ball. Stay strong and go so far. Be strong and last long.
Like geisha.
Sensitivity is a short, sharp pain that people experience when they have something hot or cold getting to the nerve of the tooth, causing that discomfort. If the sensitivity is left alone, it may get worse. Dentists recommend Sensodyne to their patients. It's able to get inside the tooth and calm the nerve of the tooth down. And the proof's in the results. It works.
Deputy President William Ruto has urged Taita Taveta leaders to sort out their differences through dialogue without resorting to dissolving the county. Speaking during a church service held at the Buguta grounds in Taita Taveta County, the Deputy President called on the county's leadership to focus more on delivering critical services to residents than engaging in leadership wrangles.
Ati mnataka kuvunja serikali yenu ya county ati shikiliwe na national government. Lo, kweli? Sikizeni niwaambie. Hiyo mchezo muache. Hiyo ni mchezo mbaya sana. Mambo ya viongozi kugombana na kuweka mambo ya sijui kuleta mambo ya ukubwa na kiburi. Hakuna haja ya kiburi katika uongozi. Kila mtu anyenyekee.
NUT Secretary General Wilson Sossion is still holding on to the union's leadership, backed by the union's branches from Western Kenya, Rift Valley, Coast, Nyanza, Baringo and West Pokot. During the burial ceremony of the former NUT Secretary General of the Bungoma North Branch, that's Isaac Kongani, Sossion affirmed he is still in office until 2021. He says that NUT as a trade union was still firm and was still advocating for the teachers' rights, including having the Teacher Service Commission include NUT members in plum pay perks. Other leaders who spoke at the event also hit out at those who said that they are being used to, or by cartels rather, to jeopardize the education sector.
Mimi kama mjumbe niko tayari kabisa, sababu hii serikali kuna cartels ambao wanakuja kuharibu huduma kwa raia wa Kenya. Makatel wameingilia Teacher Service Commission. Sisi kama Western Region hatujatuma mtu yeyote kwenda huko Nairobi kufukuza wewe kwa ofisi. We have not sent anybody.
It is an attempt to weaken the labor movement. Look at institutions in this country. Opposition imekuwa technically neutralized, so it's a silent voice. Civil societies imenyamaza. Now they want to finish the trade union movement. And they're beginning with NUT. If they're done with NUT, the entire movement will be finished. Mambo ya kusema Sossion kuondolewa, it's not because of my ineptitude. Nimefanya kazi sawa sawa. If it is negotiating, I negotiated 209 to unlock a strike.
The court this past week reignited debate on what's allowed a school uniform when it ruled that children with dreadlocks should not be kicked out of school in a case where a Rastafarian parent sued the Olympic High School in Kibera and the Ministry of Education. Now, Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Aden Duale, wants the courts to come out clearly on Muslim pupils and students being allowed to wear hijabs in schools. He says in the same breath that children of all religions should be free to practice the freedom of worship.
Jaji mkuu wa Kenya, umeaibika kabisa wewe. Wewe koti yako jana ilisema mtu wako na rasta, mtoto yake arudi na asome akiwa na rasta. Na wewe utaki kusema watoto wa Waislamu wavae hijab.
that is going to be a precedent. Na mimi nilisema zamani, mtoto ya rasta asome na rasta yake, mtoto ya kalasinga asome na hiyo kilemba yake, mtoto ya mkorino asome na kilemba yake, mtoto ya muislamu asome na hiyo hijab yake. Kama wewe huna dini, ukuja na kitu yako useme mimi sina dini, nataka nivae hivi. Na si mimi nimesema, ni katiba ya Kenya. So the Chief Justice, you cannot be the President of the Supreme Court and issue a ruling that contradicts what the High Court Judge Chacha Mwita has ruled on Friday.
The Organization of African Trade Union Unity will be hosting its 42nd General Council Conference from the 16th to the 20th of September here in Nairobi. The conference will tackle labor issues such as workplace harassment, governance, among other issues. About 150 delegates from 54 countries are expected at the conference.
We will be tackling issues related with labor movement of the continent. How do we grow labor movement of the continent of Africa for purposes of making sure that working men and women across the continent have effective protection from the trade unions? And also, how do we attract membership, particularly from the young workers? How do they perceive protection at work with a lot of contracts or contractual employment, which is now affecting the very well-known permanence in employment and so on.
Right, elsewhere now, police in the Democratic Republic of Congo have arrested a former health minister for allegedly mismanaging funds allocated for the Ebola epidemic. Oli Ilunga resigned as health minister in July after being stripped of responsibility for the fight against Ebola. Police said they detained him because they had information that he intended to evade legal proceedings and leave the country. Well, he denies any wrongdoing. In his resignation letter, Dr. Ilunga criticized the World Health Organization's plan to use an unlicensed vaccine against Ebola. All right, we need to take another break on NTV Weekend Edition. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Have a look. Well, a golden toilet goes missing from its palatial home. Now, what do police have to go on?
Selena!
Toto, where's Mummy?
Today's a toilet day.
What? Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergent, it still won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge. Harpic 10X.
Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that Harpic 10X will give you.
Wow! Harpic 10X. Harpic, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
Beat germs with Jik. Kills 99.9% of germs on your kitchen surfaces, sponges, chopping boards, sink and fridge, and your bathroom taps, shower head, basin and surfaces. Just Jik it. Look out for our new improved packaging in store. Just Jik it.
Welcome to Apple Green Gardens along KNUT Road off Thika Highway. The development by Liaison Homes comes with 3 bedrooms all en suite, customizable spacious rooms, an electrified perimeter wall with borehole water and cabro pavements. The bungalows are going for 4.5 million shillings cash or 4.75 million with 1.5 million deposit and the balance in flexible 10-month payments. Karibu Bumbani.
Are you in a financial fix and need the cash instantly? Is your electricity and water bill also due? Worry no more, for Senti has your back. Download the app from Play Store, register and get the cash straight through your phone. You can also pay your electricity bill directly and minimal bills on Senti. Pata Senti on Senti. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, plenty of fun stuff coming up now. Let's kick off with having a look at what to expect this week on our Fast Forward segment. And footballer McDonald Mariga will find out the verdict about his eligibility to run for the vacant Kibra seat, that's the MP seat, tomorrow. The IEBC will make the ruling. Mariga contested the decision that he's not a registered voter, and the by-election will take place on the 7th of November. All right, grade 3 pupils are set for the Kenya Early Years Assessment and will then proceed to grade 4. The Kenya National Examinations Council will supervise that assessment and will receive a report from schools on how they fared, and that assessment will be supervised by NEC. Also, the Senate will hold its plenary and committee sittings in the county of Kitui from tomorrow, that's the 16th, right up till the 20th of September. Now, the resolution to hold a sitting of the Senate outside Nairobi was made to strengthen partnerships at a county level and also to give an opportunity to MCAs in Kitui to learn best practices and also borrow from the Senate. All right, so that's what we can expect. Those are just some of the things that we will keep an eye on coming to you this week. Now, it's made of solid 18-karat gold. It was once offered on loan to US President Donald Trump. It's valued at around $5 to $6 million US. It was on display at Britain's Blenheim Palace, and more than 100,000 people lined up to use it during the course of a year. Any guesses as to what I might be talking about? Well, believe it or not, it's a toilet. Yep, that's right. Now, this fully functioning golden piece of work that you're about to see is the famous toilet. But to the shock of many, it was stolen from the palace in a pre-dawn attack just 2 days after it was put on display. A gang of thieves who had at least 2 vehicles left behind flooding that damaged the building as they stole it, and it's believed that they will melt down that beautiful, well, some might think golden toilet. Police have arrested a 66-year-old man who remains in custody, and they're still following a number of lines of inquiry. Well, a golden toilet, I mean, that certainly is an experience that many backsides perhaps will never encounter. All right, to a clip now that will undoubtedly warm your heart, and one that's going viral. This video shows 2 toddlers, that's besties Maxwell and Finnegan, racing towards one another for a massive hug on a New York City sidewalk. The 2-year-old best friends act like they've never seen, or rather they haven't seen each other for ages, but it's just been 2 days. Have a look.
Moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation,
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera. Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation,
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared.
Interestingly, though, the objective of this day was for wives without children to receive appreciation from their husbands. But you know what? Showing your appreciation for your wife, whether you have a child with her or not, is a basic ingredient towards a happy marriage. So go ahead and tell her what she means to you, but also show her what she means to you through your love. And gentlemen, well, don't worry, because you'll get your day too. Husband Appreciation Day is in April. All right, that's what we have for you for now. We are taking a breather again on NTV Weekend Edition. There is plenty more coming up in the sports news with Ida Waringa. Stay tuned.
Do you want to enjoy the convenience of a credit card that fully adheres to Islamic principles of financing? Then Gulf African Bank's Awal Credit Card, the first Islamic credit card in East Africa, is the solution you're looking for. It is a card that will ultimately complement your lifestyle. The Gulf African Bank Awal Islamic Credit Card offers a viable option for all people ascribing to the Islamic mode of banking, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, to access interest-free credit. It also comes with great perks and privileges, including worldwide airport lounge access. You will be able to know the cost up front, which will empower your decision making. Call 071-107-5000, SMS AWAL to 21981, or visit your nearest branch to order yours today. Gulf African Bank, your partner through life's journey.
NTV continues to bring you great entertainment, news and sports shows. Stay tuned to NTV. For free-to-air set-top boxes and digital TVs, please ensure your aerial is pointed for optimum picture. Then, rescan your set-top box to refresh the channels. When search is complete, scroll until you find your favorite channel under the name NTV or ADN NTV. Choose channel 91 on GoTV, 271 on DSTV, 106 on Star Times, 13 on Zuku, and we're also on Signet. NTV, turning on your world.
I've decided that I should just raise our child on my own. Samantha is my only daughter. I want a special wedding for her.
We have to move fast before Samantha's baby bump becomes obvious to the public.
It was Senator Del Mundo.
She's been transferred, but she's still being guarded by the cops. You want to see him? Then come with me! Sander!
I said let go of me!
Get it!
Do you have what it takes to become the next generation of great innovators, corporate icons, and renowned engineers? Enroll now for our September 2019 intakes. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
A very good Sunday evening to you. Welcome, and let's get into the world of sport. I'm Ida Waringa. And it was a good day in Denmark for multiple world half marathon champion Jeffrey Kamworor as he killed two birds with one stone. Kamworor blew away competition in the Copenhagen half marathon to take victory, and in the process set a new world record time. Meanwhile, Kenya scooped second and third places respectively in the women's event.
Results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya,
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The back to school program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Kamoro there, amazing achievement, and hopefully what will be a good prelude to Kipchoge breaking the 1:59 INEOS challenge up next in October. But let's move on. And USM Algiers host Kenyan champions Gor Mahia in the Algerian capital of Belda at 10:45 tonight in the CAF Champions League first round. Gor head coach Steve Polak has named his starting 11, which is largely similar to the one that took part in Kogalo's league opener 2 weeks ago. A troubled trip saw the Kenyan champions land in Algeria barely 24 hours before the clash, while USM have also been facing a financial crunch after club accounts were frozen over alleged corruption. The two teams are familiar foes, having faced off thrice in the last year, but Gor will be looking to avenge last year's loss to the Tunisians, or I do beg your pardon, the Algerians, after the two were paired in Group D of the CAF Confederation Cup. Both sides will be looking for a positive result to stand a better chance of qualifying for the group stage of top-tier continental football. The first leg match will be played at the Stade Mustafa Chaka. Meanwhile, in Sunday's two Kenyan Premier League games, KCB and Kisumu All-Stars, as well as AFC Leopards and Kariobangi Sharks, both ended 0-0. And the national women's volleyball team Malkia Strikers lost their second game at the Volleyball World Cup in Hamamatsu, Japan, going down 3-0 to the Netherlands. Paul Bitok's charges, who are fresh from defending their African Games title in Rabat, Morocco, went down 25-12, 25-19 and 25-17.
On strike
and beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Basketball World Cup in Beijing, their first title in 13 years. The Spaniards scored 14 of the first 16 points and never lost their lead to the 2000.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike
and beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces.
Back to Smriti.
Ida, thanks very much from you and the team. That's where we leave it on NTV Weekend Edition. David Agondoa has been our sign language interpreter tonight. We'll see you again soon. Have yourselves a good night. Bye-bye.